Look, I'm interested to get your take. I'm conscious that as a journalist, I want leaders to stick around and answer all the questions. But often these days are a pretty short, sharp sort of message. What did you make of Anthony Albanese and his pitch there, which, yes, was in front of journalists, but ultimately is to voters?
Well, that's right. I mean, the campaign that the government are going to run against Albo is that he doesn't stand for anything. You don't know who he is. I mean, you've seen that just in your own clips there in the intro. So Albo's job is to make sure that he defines who he is and not let, photos from 30 years ago or essays he wrote 25 years ago be allowed to be the defining definition. And that's what Scott Morrison, the Liberal Party machine, Clive Palmer's $40 million advertising campaign, that's what it's all going to be about, trying to ensure that people lose confidence in Albo. So today's speech was a good start. He talked about a variety of the issues he wants this campaign to be about issues that he cares about. And so I see that as being the biggest challenge for Albo. Just make sure that he sets out before the Australian public what he wants, what his policies are and what he believes in.
So the job that Labor's done generally in trying to take shine off Scott Morrison appears to have been a very successful one, regardless of what poll you look at and also what metric. Two-party preferred, primary vote, net satisfaction for Scott Morrison. It was +2 leading into the campaign last time. It's -11 now in Newspoll, for example. The question is, though, do people need more to vote on? What's your view on that? Because, yes, it's small target. We'll find out some more policies, I think, in the election campaign. But do they need a bit more to vote on in terms of policy differentiation right now?
I think Albo's absolutely played the right position for the last 3 years. He's been constructive in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of bushfires, in the middle of all of the vaccination issues. But he's also been prepared to critique the lack of competence. I mean, when you say Scott Morrison's, his approval ratings down, it's pretty much self-inflicted, whether it's the holding the hose comment, whether it's, he's only got 2 jobs, vaccination and quarantine. Both of those were train wrecks. Then you go into the lack of ability to deliver RATS testing for people while telling them to go and get them. So when you say his popularity and his likeability are down, this is pretty self-inflicted. I mean, in politics, you can't create something if there's not even, the tiniest morsel of truth in it. And in Scott Morrison's case, it's a 3-course meal. It's not a morsel. So Labor are simply pointing to the issues that the Prime Minister has self-inflicted upon himself.
No, and I get that, but the question is, though,
Tina McQueen.
Yes, I saw some more free advice from her and what some progressives should do. But I guess the question is, OK, so if you take what you say to be accurate, that Anthony Albanese is in a great position right now, do you think he still needs to flesh out a bit more to actually vote on? There's plenty to vote against, but what are you voting for? And I'm conscious there are announcements to go, and he's spoken about them, but do you think they are actually needed right now, that people are tuning in, they go, all right, sure, things haven't been great in terms of the decision-making and maybe, some of the gaffes, but what am I voting for you?
Look, there's a great maxim in politics. Oppositions don't win government. Governments lose government. And there's a lot of truth to that. So I think Albo has learned from what happened in 2019, where Labor, on anybody's assessment, didn't just have a big target, it had a bloody big target on its back. And it got nailed badly. So Albo's strategy has been the right strategy in today's media environment world. In the past, when the media 24/7 cycle didn't exist, you might have been able to get away with some of the alternate type arguments that have been made. But Albo's played it absolutely right. He went into the budget in reply speech and he said to me beforehand, I'm going to put one big announcement in because I'm not wasting 6 announcements that'll all be forgotten by the time the election's called. So he has substantive announcements going forward over the course of this 6 weeks. And then again, just in terms of the cynicism of why we're having a 6-week campaign and not the traditional 4.5 week campaign, Scott Morrison wants to try and use the blowtorch of the election campaign to what he believes will be to expose Albo and his inexperience.